I'm Joe.
And I'm Lee.
We are the Rewinders, rewatching childhood movies to see if they hold up. This week, we watched
The Secret of
NiMH.
Secret, I got a secret.
Super secret.
Super secret. You do have a glow around you, a pale, kind of sickly glow.
It's from an amulet I have.
Wait. Oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I have questions about this movie. Many questions we'll probably have to, that you won't be able to answer, but we'll get to the end of it. We're doing this movie because you wanted to do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll probably say this for quite a few movies over the course of doing this, is that, I've watched this a lot when I was a kid.
Sure. I have never seen this movie until doing it for the podcast.
Oh, there we go.
And I guess for my memories are, I knew it existed and friends talking about it a lot. Mm-hmm. And the main reason why I found out about this movie was I was a huge Star Trek Next Generation fan. And I somehow found out that, oh, Will Wheaton did this movie. Oh, he did the voice for this movie. Yeah. Oh, it's his first role. Okay. So I wanted to see it because Wesley Crusher was in it.
And I just found out, watching it this time around, who else is in this?
Yeah.
That I should
Shannon
probably know.
Doherty. All right. That's strange, too. But I had no idea what The Secret of NiMH was even about. I knew it had mice in it because I remember that, and magic something, and like you mentioned, the amulet. But I guess maybe you can take it for what memories you had.
Sure. I had watched this movie plenty of times, and in school, I think I read a truncated version of it in class once. Yeah, I had watched this movie numerous times before that. It was like, I know what happens. They all escape. They all get out. They're all super smart.
Yeah, so for my research you remember everything as a kid, right? I guess, what was your takeaway when you saw this movie?
I didn't take away so much of the deeper meaning of anything in this, of course.
And that's what I'm wondering about.
It was all about the spectacle of the animation and the magic, and it just was this combination where I was locked in pretty good with it, and
it engaged you really well as a kid, yes.
Yeah. Now, if we compare it to something like Dark Crystal, that engaged me very well, there's a difference between the two, whereas this one, the story was more solid. When I was a kid, I was more attached to who the characters were and how they interplayed with each other and how that related to the story, whereas with Dark Crystal, it was always all about Muppets.
Yep, and it has a much better story. They're both dark, but this one, the characters are much more defined and interesting.
Yes.
And so I guess I'm just wondering all this because I have questions that haven't seen it as a kid. I'm seeing it straight as an adult, but you're definitely, as a kid, this really got you and it is a kid's movie, a family movie. That's how they
pitched it.
They pitched it that way.
I wouldn't say as an adult watching this that it's a children's movie. It's an adult movie that is built in a way that children can watch with you.
Since I had not seen this movie, I watched the trailer from 1982, and it is billed as enter a world of wizards and magic, evil and sword fighting. It will make you feel like a child again. The people trying to promote this movie had no idea how to sell it at all.
That is not a good
you too will know the secret of NiMH in your heart and become a child again. Some nonsense like that.
Yeah, that's
BS that's the first thing I did before watching the movie.
Yeah.
All right, that didn't help out. So I guess we can dive into what the Secret of NiMH is.
It's animated, so it still plays off the classic Hollywood open with song and credits. No kid is interested in that.
I guess that I thought of right away. This is a Disney movie, and like Lady and the Tramp did that. That's
all the classic ones.
Because this is Don Bluth's, I can't say his last name. It's his first movie, and animator who worked with Disney. This is his first movie that he did on his own. He got away from Disney, and so he still has that mentality and a little bit of style, but he does have his darker style. That's why I saw it as.
Yeah, and it's not a full-blown credit sequence at the front like some of the more actual classics do. So
yeah, but you're right. As a kid, like, get on with it.
Yeah.
But as an adult, listening to the music and then seeing, oh, Jerry Goldsmith did this.
Yeah, the actual orchestrations behind this are very good.
I know the name Jerry Goldsmith might not mean much to anybody, but I had to look him up real quick. Jerry Goldsmith did music scores for Alien, Star Trek, the motion picture, which is the theme for The Next Generation. So good. Poltergeist, all the Rambo, Explorers, Legends, Inner Space, Lionheart, The Burbs, Leviathan, Warlock, and then Total Recall.
Oh!
I knew you. It's so good. And then tons. He did so many, dozens and dozens and dozens of movies throughout his career. But those are from the 80s.
They're all drastically different kinds of movies, too. So
he's
got range for his music.
Big range, so.
So then after that intro sequence where we get a narrator come up with these old ratty rat hands.
Ooh, they are rat hands.
Scrawling in his book. He's keeping his journal.
It was a really glowy, sparkly, and it was in a dim lit area.
Yeah.
That's got to be hard on your eyes to write, and then this glow is just blinding you. I can't even see what I'm writing. Jeez.
His pen never touches the page.
It glides over because it's magic.
They give you the quick introduction of, I'm sure it's another J name.
Nope, it's Nicodemus.
No.
Oh, did I? Oh my God.
It's the Frisbee character, which at some point in my life, I always called Brisby.
It is Mrs. Brisby. So what happened was, in the book, I had to look this up.
Oh, okay.
In the book, her name is Mrs. Frisbee. They changed it for this movie because they didn't want to get sued
why
by...
at the end of the movie did they write it out as Frisbee?
Where did they write it out? In the credits?
It must have been when they referenced the book.
When they referenced the book, because that's the name of it. But her name is Mrs. Brisby with a B.
I thought I had just gone through years and basically my entire life imagining that they said Brisby.
Ooh, just like the Berenstain Bears, but all through childhood, those books, the Berenstain Bears.
Yeah.
But it's actually Berenstein. We've been saying it wrong the entire time.
It's all right.
We haven't even gotten into the movie yet.
The book, the journaling that Nicodemus is doing,
ruined it.
Talks about a Brisby, a mouse that has passed away, and he did it for the rats. He was a good guy.
He was a good guy. Yep.
Whatever he says, he just kind of introduces you to characters and a slight bit of background, which gets you into what's happening, sort of.
And I can't remember, but does he use his magic viewing glass just to spy on her right now? And that's how we transition to.
We transition to her through it.
That's what I thought. Okay, we'll get to that.
I'm pretty sure that's how it was done.
We'll get to you, Nicodemus.
So when it switches over to Mrs. Brisby, you find out she has a sick son, and she is traveling to another mouse called Mr. Ages, who lives in a
I thought it was like a hay baler. Hay baler.
Bale
hurley dale bear hoy.
Broken down in the field. It's basically left there to rot. Anyone lives out in the country. We're very familiar with vehicles that just get
if it breaks down, just leave it.
You kind of get introduced to this guy. He seems like he's a mad scientist mouse kind of thing. He's kind of put-offy, but he helps out Mrs. Brisby by making a little powder for her to give to her son because her son has pneumonia. And says he's got to stay in bed for 3 weeks and take this broth.
Yep, and he can't, and this is really important, he can't go outside because the cold air will kill him.
Yes. So she gets the stuff, and she's like, okay, I'm going to go home. I'm going to give this to my son right away. And then a dumbass bird gets in the way.
It's Dom DeLuise as Jeremy the Crow. Love Dom DeLuise.
He is a fun character in the movie.
He's a fun character. Very obviously the comic relief of it.
Yes. And has no forwarding mechanisms of the plot whatsoever.
He does not help the plot at all. But he's there, and he's tangled up in string. And
it's Dom DeLuise.
It's Dom DeLuise being charming, and I love Dom.
So he comes in, you get introduced to him. He likes string because he's tied up in string.
he's clumsy, but he wants to find a lady crow.
Yeah.
That's his objective. He's asking Mrs. Brisby, you were a lady once. Can you help me out?
What an ass.
Yep. Like, I know you're married now, so that means you're off the market. Who cares? You're not a woman anymore, apparently.
I kind of took it to mean you're old. And it's like obvious. You look at her, she's not an old mouse because she just came from Mr. Ages, who is obviously an old mouse. So anyway, I'm not going to argue about how attractive Miss Brisby is.
Well, I might, but that's a different podcast.
So during their conversation, they also introduce you to Dragon the cat because he's making so much noise, he's going to attract Dragon over, and then they'll be sorry. Dragon is also what killed
Mr. Brisby.
Mr. Brisby,
yep.
which
Jonathan Brisby.
Brisby.
They always call him Jonathan Brisby. They never call him Mr.
I knew it was a J name.
Another J names on this movie.
So they're all worried about that, and then they freak out, but no, it's just a bunny. But nope, Dragon is right behind the bunny, and
because Jeremy says, if there's a cat around, I would have been start sneezing like crazy, and they start sneezing like crazy.
Yeah.
So it's supposed to be farm cat, basically.
Yes.
This thing looks like no cat I've ever seen before. It is huge. It's the size of a puma. Holy shit! It just doesn't look drawn to be like a house cat or even a feral cat.
Its name is Dragon. It's a dragon. It's a mythical creature that's a monster.
Yeah, because it has one terrible eye, and then its one good eye is huge. It's barely cat-eyed. way. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the movie is portraying this animal not from a human's perspective. It's from the animals who are going to be murdered by it perspective.
Yeah, that's true, but I didn't like the design of it, but I understand what you're saying. Yes, it's evil.
Yeah.
Yep, I understand.
I don't know exactly if that's the case. I
No,
just think
that cat is evil. Don Bluth hates cats and loves mice. He does. His first directing they did was with The Rescuers, mice.
Okay. Yep.
Then he did this movie, mice. What's another Don Bluth movie? An American Tail. There we go.
And there are no cats in America, and the streets are filled with cheese.
Exactly. Don Bluth has themes.
All right, so Dragon busts up their good time, and they escape into the mill.
Yep.
Jeremy acts like he's all big and bad. And...
Yep, he's pretty cocky. He's going on and on like she's crying because they barely escaped with their lives, and she lost the medicine. Now she's crying. This was really touching and sad. He comes in and says, "Oh, don't worry, I'm safe." And she's, "No, I'm sad because I lost the medicine." "Oh, this medicine I found here? Oh, okay. You did something nice. Now you guys are buddies."
Cut back to the Brisby home, and you get introduced to the annoying aunt.
Aunt Shrew. Yeah, she comes in. The three kids are there, and they're annoying, and Timmy is asleep in the bed, the one that's sick. Mm-hmm. And then Aunt Shrew comes in asking where Mrs. Brisby is, and she is just going on and on. Like, I can't believe she left you, and she's just... They make her out to be a straight up bitch.
Her main purpose of being there is to announce that moving day.
That's right. That's what I was trying to remember.
The frost is gone.
The frost is gone.
And they're going to start tilling the field, so they got to move.
Yeah, so she's been around, and so she knows to keep a lookout for when the farmer's going to get the tractor ready to, and so they live out in the field. All the other animals are in the field right now, so she'll give them warning. So she gave them a whole day warning of, it's chance that tractor is going to start up soon. So you might want to move your family, and she can't, because she's got 3 weeks that Timmy can't move for some reason or be bundled up.
So you kind of get introduced to all the personalities of her children.
Sure.
And the youngest one's kind of cute. The boy is annoying, and the girl is just there. You know,
I paid no attention to them at all.
They're okay. I mean, they only have like 3 moments in the film, so they're inconsequential to the overall fact of the movie. And then Miss Brisby starts cooking up her brew for her son. And takes it into Timmy, and then cue
the song
that's unnecessary.
Yeah, it reminded me of other songs, but it was a very generic lullaby song, in my opinion. That one didn't really work for me.
It added 4 minutes to the film that were unnecessary. I always remember watching this, and when she's feeding him, the angle that they decided to animate Mrs. Brisby at was not flattering in the least. It was like...
I didn't notice.
It's always something that's kind of... that I've seen and been like... That's that, or she's just slack-jawed and can't shut her mouth at any point in time. I don't know.
I did not notice.
It's just, it doesn't really matter. But it just was something that over the years of watching this, I've always been like, there's that. Anyway, so then we zoom out from their cinder block home, and you see the scale of where they are in the field, where the farmhouse is, and then time passes to the morning. Something
very important happens in the night.
That's right.
We go to the farmhouse, and upstairs the window opens on the second floor. We see a couple of mice stealing electrical cables.
Not mice. Rats.
I'm sorry, rats. This is important. Rats. And they go into a rose bush, and then there's sparkly different colored lights. They're electric. They're doing... But this is also important. We hear the farmer's wife talking to her husband saying, a man came by from the National Institute of Mental Health, and he was asking us, have your rats been acting weird? We just found out what the secret of NIMH is. It's a National Institute of Mental Health.
And, of course, they're going to come to your house and ask you about rats.
Yeah.
You're crazy.
How odd. and the husband just dismisses it. He's not paying attention to her. And that's when we see the lights in the bush. Like, those rats, are
There's
up to
There's kind of an
something.
Expectation that you have an awareness of... a previous storyline here. That's my feeling on it.
That's exactly
later they do cover it.
But then, now it's morning.
Yeah, and in the morning, Brisby gets up early, and because you can hear her...
The tractor is starting up.
Stop pumping the clutch.
No, he didn't. He has the choke.
Oh, yeah.
He's got to work the choke.
That's what it was.
Because it's old catalytic converter and whatnot. So it's not fuel injected with Hemis and
dual
overhead cams.
Either way,
old-fashioned.
you know it's the tractor. And then it starts up and all the animals freak out. Auntie Shrew goes running through
She's
the
freaking
entire
out.
place.
She's yelling. And what I noted is, all these different animals, bunnies, other mice, tons of different types of animals that are living in this field. They all had, I guess I'll call them Disney eyes.
Yeah.
This just like the other characters we've been introduced, but they're not wearing clothing. Like Mrs. Brisby has a cape, basically. Mm-hmm. Everybody of the main characters, I guess, have clothing. No one else does, but they have Disney eyes. I'll make my point when we get to further in the movie.
I'm assuming that it's because those characters have been at least interacting with the ultra smart animals who came from NIM, because those are the ones that are actually wearing clothes and have intelligence.
You're ruining the secret of NIM. You're ruining the secret. We haven't gotten to the secret yet.
We'll get there. So anyway, you notice that, all the animals help each other out to know that it's moving day. And during this, once again it gets reiterated, Tammy can't move. So Miss Brisby says she is going to go stop the trailer, which is the one item that looks totally different from all the other animation styles.
The tractor, looks totally different.
To me, it's like, one, it looks really cool and very lifelike. But it also, they gave it this weird black,
shadowy,
and red,
black,
and shadowy and scary kind of thing. It's like
the farmer's driving it, but you can't see his face. You did earlier, but now he's just a shadow man.
And when you see him as a human,
normal
from
guy.
A third person's perspective, he's got a bushy mustache and he's yawning, he's tired. He's just a regular guy,
regular farmer.
But here, he's a monster.
Yes,
he's
and that's
part
what
of a giant monster coming to murder.
I guess you can see that as you're seeing that as a viewpoint from all the animals in there. That this is just a monster coming.
So then Brisby jumps up on it and gets up on it.
Get flowing. I don't know the lyrics. I'm not gonna pretend to try to do any of that. But we both have the same idea.
And then she gets on it, but basically has a panic attack.
Yeah, she says she's afraid of heights, so she's a little bit higher.
That's not the height. That stone she was up on earlier was higher up, but this is she's on the monster's back.
Yeah, it's vibrating. She's scared. She holds on. And
so Auntie Shrew also chases up on it, and she's the one who saves the day.
So she knows how this monster works, and first she pulls out spark plug wires, and then she pulls out the fuel line.
Yeah.
And that's why I hated her. Like I've seen it again. I hated her introduction. The story made you hate her as being so shrill and annoying. And here she is. She's a capable kick-ass.
She's pretty badass.
She's awesome. She didn't hesitate. She knew exactly what to do. But she wasn't part of the experiments. How does she know how to do these things?
Well, Miss Brisby was also not part of the experiments, but she knows how to read.
But, okay. Okay, I have questions afterwards.
So then, after they stop the
monster truck tractor.
Woo! Sunday. Auntie Shrew helps Miss Brisby down, and there's a very short scene of Auntie Shrew grief shaming Mrs. Brisby.
Yep.
Miss Brisby talks about if only Jonathan were here, he would know what to do. Geez. Basically, she goes down a tunnel of she's missing her husband who just died.
Yep.
Very recently. This whole movie takes place over a very short period of time.
Yes.
What does Auntie Shrew say? Something like, well, get over it.
Yep.
That's it. And it's wow, holy crap. She basically took away Mrs. Brisby's right to have grief over her husband passing recently.
Yeah, I guess I missed that.
So she went from jerk to hero, back to jerk.
Back to her default setting of being a jerk.
And then we get introduced to go see the Great Owl.
Yeah, they temporarily stop the tractor, but they need to move the entire house. The Great Owl will know what to do and how to move your entire house with Timothy inside this warm, safe place.
Yes.
Go find the Great Owl. So
and this is true because owls represent wisdom. That's my only guess because no one seems to know why other than owls are wise.
Okay. Yeah, it's a kids movie.
Yeah, and I mean,
is it a kids movie though? Wait, afterwards we'll get to it.
Okay. You see that the magic rat, Nicodemus, since you ruined it,
has been watching the entire time.
All this and makes his little, he's riffing on Brisby's life.
Paying attention.
He's like, that's a good idea. Go see that owl.
So, Mrs. Brisby gets help from Jeremy the Crow, and they go flying into the woods, and they both go into the Great Owl's lair, and it's cobwebs everywhere. There's bones of other creatures, and they're warning, before this, they warned her, don't go there because owls eat mice. This is dangerous, but she has to find out how to save Timmy and move the house. Jeremy gets blown out of there because...
No, Jeremy just doesn't even go in.
He went in.
He's knee-knocking and everything.
True. And then a spider almost kills Mrs. Brisby, but this big claw comes out.
Spider was like 3 times as big as she
Huge
was.
spiders. Freaking Australian spider. They're in the Midwest, right? Because
I would assume.
That's what it seemed like the farm
like
place.
Indiana or something like that.
We'll say it's Indiana. We'll say it's Pawnee, Indiana.
And then you get the creepy great owl, which very well done. The whole segment is to get the idea of she's scared.
Yes.
And to put you in a mode that's equally as frightening. I think that does a pretty good job, the way they did it.
Well, don't get me wrong. I love the animation of it and the style and what the emotions they're trying to make you have, and it does very effective. Don Bluth is very effective at that, of his motions and movement of characters and the backgrounds and everything together is amazing. Yes, and she is just terrified of this thing, but still has that nervous courage of "please help me." And I think she says
basically the
her
owl
last name. The owl knows Jonathan.
Very like whatever.
Everybody knows Jonathan.
Just move your family. And then she says her name, and he recognizes Brisby.
That's what it was.
And says Mrs. Jonathan Brisby.
Everybody loves Jonathan Brisby.
Knows him.
Just love Jonathan Brisby.
And then he tells her to go seek out the rats. The rats can do it.
The great owl is useless in this story.
Yeah, there's no point to it.
No point. You could have written this a different way. The main objective, it's been already about half an hour into the movie. We haven't even gotten to the rats yet.
Yeah.
Where there is the most important part of this story. But right now, we haven't gotten to the rats. All we saw was them stealing an electrical cord, and they're doing something. That's all we know. They haven't interacted with Mrs. Brisby at all, or anyone else, and that's what really bothered me, of seeing it as an adult and not having that nostalgia at all. I'm seeing it straight as a story. There's so many different ways you could have had her get to the rats.
And they both know where the rats are.
Yeah, and the great owl says, find the rats. Oh, you mean over by the rose bush? Yeah, you know about... Anyway, didn't really care for that. But it's a kid. So, we go over to... Now it's daytime.
So she goes to the rose bush, and Jeremy is trying to ninja his way over to help out, and he's just being silly.
Yeah, a little bit of comedy, and it was fine.
Mrs. Brisby tells Jeremy that, I need some strong man to go take care of my kids while I'm doing this dangerous thing by going in by the rats.
Go over and keep my kids safe. But it's more that she's just getting him, because he is making so much noise. Dragon the cat is sleeping really close nearby. I mean, it's daytime, but she does make it into the rose bush. Mm-hmm. When she gets in there, it's enormous. It goes down further and further and further, and it is gorgeous. It looks awesome in there. There's electrical sparks going everywhere. There's so many... That's one thing. There's so many different colors in this movie.
Yeah.
So many different shades of every color. And then the rat guard.
Brutus, I believe.
They name him Brutus. Yep, his name is Brutus, but he doesn't talk.
No eyes, apparently, in this.
He's the evil rat guard that has a lightning laser. No, just a lightning spear. It's a pretty scary, involved attack. That he's trying to. Brutus is trying to kill Mrs. Brisby.
But then, in the end, it's just like, whatever, okay, I think I frightened her enough.
Really? Well,
because he could have kept following her, but he didn't. So he's just like, whatever.
But then, they go further down, and she meets up with Mr. Ages, and he's got a broken leg in a cast now. Then they're walking, and then you see this other evil rat sneak up behind them, but it's not an evil rat.
I gotcha.
It's Justin, another J name, but Justin, the captain of the mouse... I keep saying mice. Rat guard. Yep. And he is charming. He makes little eyes.
And that's the funny thing, because all of a sudden I'm like, I guess he's good looking, because I noticed that Miss Brisby gave him the whole, like, ooh, he's cute.
He is a cute rat. He is charming. He's tall, and he just jokes around, but he's confident. And I've been alone for maybe 2 days, because we don't know how long she's been a widow. She's moving on. Jonathan, who? Justin. Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
She started writing it in her high school notebook with hearts and... Wait.
Well, yes, and then they decide to bring her into their political gathering, which,
they go further down.
They introduce you into Jenner, which is their bad guy.
He's the evil bad guy. So yeah, we go further down and you see more... Yeah, they've set up this weird castle community. This didn't make sense to me because it's somewhat modern times, right? But these rats decided to make a civilization based off of monarchy because the style of their dress is very
I think it's more like
and
British political. That's how I read it.
Okay, maybe that's what it seemed like.
So, because it kind of played as like the House of Commons.
Okay, yeah, I suppose so.
That's kind of how it played out to me, at least.
I suppose. It was just something I noticed. That's kind of strange, but...
There's no direct reason to believe that they have They just have like, okay, this old rat is our leader. That's their political system.
It, yeah.
And then the rest of it is a pseudo-democracy, which you kind of see.
Kind of, yeah, because you're right. Yeah, Jenner is there. He's the evil rat. He's trying to tell all the other rats that we shouldn't be leaving. It's fine that we're stealing the electricity from the farmer. Yeah. It's foolish for us to want to leave this area.
And before this, you kind of get the talk of,
oh yes,
they don't want to be stealing anymore because that's what rats who are full rats, that's what they did in their past, and they don't want to do that anymore. They want to be intelligent creatures that do it on their own.
They've evolved so much that now they no longer feel, that's necessary. Stealing's bad, and we're going to be on our own. And we don't want to be found out by the humans.
Yes.
And even Jenner, I think, says we should attack the humans. Something like that.
Take it to them before they take it to us.
Yeah, exactly. And then when Justin comes in, he makes a fool out of Jenner. He just makes everyone laugh at him like, oh, it's just Jenner being how he is. Yeah. Hey, I'm Justin. Yeah, but then Jenner goes into the shadows and he has his one follower, kind of.
Yeah.
I don't know who didn't get his name.
I didn't get his name either. I just called him the turncoat.
Sure.
The reason he goes into the corner to talk to his buddy is because Mr. Ages and, oh boy, Justin both state that they should help Miss Brisby get her home out of the way of the plow and put it in the lee of the stone.
Yes.
Well, actually, they didn't say that, but they put it somewhere safe. Then Jenner wants to use this as a means to off their leader so that he can take control.
Yep.
And
that's his idea, his plan.
They all agree on it, and then, we're going to do it. Okay, let's help move her home later tonight.
Yep, it's happening.
Oh, okay.
It's happening quickly. But then Mrs. Brisby goes to talk to Nicodemus.
Nicodemus, yes.
And she opens the door, and just magic energy is flowing out of this door.
It's like from the movie Poltergeist. This white light just shooting out. If she would have had her face in the way, all her skin would have got torn off, and she just would have had like a skull.
Looking in the Ark of Covenant. She's not a Nazi, so she's fine.
It just was kind of a little bit over the top, is what we're getting at.
That's what I'm getting at. And this is where we get into Nonsense Town. I mean, we get to see Nicodemus.
Yes.
And he is a wizard. He's an old rat that we saw in the beginning. He has glowing eyes, just like the great owl. He talks like this, and says, go read that book. And she goes and reads this book that he was writing from the beginning, and this is how she learns how her husband died. Basically, they want to move, and so they needed to drug Dragon the cat.
Yes.
But Jonathan failed and died that way. Her response is very sad. I noticed I never knew what happened. Then we get the backstory of Nicodemus showing in his crystal mirror thing that looks like it's powered by electricity and magic or something. Combination. And we get their backstory of how the rats got to be so smart. So what we see is he says we were ordinary rats in the city, and then we were captured by humans to be made into experiments. Yeah. And then we see this terrible scene of monkeys and sad dogs, and hated it. And
you know what they're doing. They don't even have to show you.
No, you know exactly what they're doing to these animals. They're experimenting on them, and then they all get injected. But before that, the animation shows them when say that they're regular rats. Mm-hmm. They don't have Disney eyes. They're regular beady black eyes.
Okay.
So this is raising questions. Does that mean then that they weren't smart? Or I can understand, let's just say, when animals talk to each other, but we see it in English, of course. But are
Yes.
they squeaking? And I don't know, I'm trying to get my point. My point is, when they were just regular rats, were they intelligent enough to be able to talk to each other?
I would say basic communications of
Sure, but
squeak, squeak. I know what squeak,
but
squeak means.
but basics. But then when we go to even Auntie Shrew and all the other animals, they had Disney eyes, so that show that they have some sort of intelligence. Even Mrs. Brisby, who was not part of the experiment, is smart too.
And
the crow.
The crow, I can't account for that at all because he, as far as we know, just crashed into the parade then.
I think what happened was, it just annoyed me. All they had to do was just give the rats regular Disney eyes here, but they wanted to show them that they were dumb and just, I get it, but it just bothered me that, no, that's not how you're supposed to do this. Anyway. It just bugged me. And the other thing that bugged me is you have scientists that are capturing rats from the streets that have diseases and have lice and all these things. No, you get them from ratteries. You get them specifically bred that they're clean, so they won't mess with any of your science.
Well, at that time period, was it that way? Because that looked like
that
was...
It feels like the 50s and 60s-ish.
It looked earlier than that to me.
I don't know. Have you ever tried catching a rat? There were like 3 guys in the alley. They're just trying to catch.
It didn't look like it was an easy time.
Anyway, I understand what manipulation that Don Bluth is trying to do. Yeah. Humans are evil and terrible.
And then, after teaching you that, put you through a drug trip.
Jeez, I know. Then all the rats... then Nicodemus is talking about this, and he says 20 rats and 12 mice get injected with something like that, and then, it's just... As a kid, I can't imagine seeing that.
And I saw that, and that's what I was thinking, because I was like, whoa, this is nightmare fuel.
Yes, it is nightmare fuel.
But then I remembered, I watched this a ton when I was a kid.
Sure.
And it wasn't nightmare fuel, so...
I could see that really affected me greatly as a kid, seeing these sad animals and then being tortured and then being injected in the tummies.
And then
with
having
giant needles. And they're transforming, they're in pain. And
like they're writhing and falling into the DNA.
You see the drug trip.
Going through it.
And then they become ex-rats, and they have superpowers.
And in this case, I can say that, yes, the rats do speak English and can read English because they say it, that he could... magically read.
Something happened to us, and now we could read what the door said and lift the door handle to get out, and then they escape. And it says something like half of the mice or something like that.
Well, they're in the air shaft.
They go in the air shaft to escape.
And it must have turned on and blew away all but 2 of the mice.
Oh, that's right.
Which... As a kid, it was like, oh, that's too bad. And they even say it, that they blew away to their death.
They died. Yeah, it said they died.
They say they died. Yep. And as a kid, I'm like, oh, that's bad. And I watch it now, and I'm technically almost horrified by this.
Because you're seeing these mice, and now they have Disney eyes.
It matters more to me now than when I was a kid.
Yeah, all the rats survive, and the 2 mice were Mr. Agees and Jonathan Brisby. Yeah. And the reason why the rats love him so much, everybody loves him, is he figured out how to get the grate off, the cover off, to completely escape. And this was 4 or 5 years ago. He come out of it, and then now Nicodemus says he couldn't tell you about this because she had no idea of this, what happened. That her husband never told her this. Mm-hmm. And this is the bullshit line of Nicodemus says, he couldn't tell you because what they did to us not only made us smart, but it slowed our aging process. And your husband didn't tell you this? At some point, he's going to still be young and you're dying.
She would have figured it out.
What the hell?
Well, not only that, I mean, that's the easier to digest part. The second part of his statement was that, because if he would tell you, then other people would find out, and then the humans would go, why are the mice talking to the humans?
And then that was another part of it, too, is, we can't, you have to keep this thing a big secret. That's what we're hiding. It doesn't make sense. And another thing that's, I didn't realize until the second viewing was, Nicodemus says, go over there and read the book that I've been writing. And she says, I know how to read a little bit. Jonathan taught me. Yeah. The kids know how to read better because the kids have part of Jonathan in him, so they are smarter. And then after that whole discussion, opens up the...
Yeah, it shows her the amulet. He calls it I believe he called it the courage of the heart.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. And then scrolled on the back is the nothing phrase of, you can unlock any door if only you have the key.
Thanks, Don Bluth. Good writing there.
But it's just one of those things. As a kid, I didn't care.
And as a kid, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
As an adult, I just was like,
As a kid, it's a magical item that she gets, and she's very happy to have it, and she will use it later because it's something of importance, and she has it now.
Yeah, and Nicodemus to the side, and other points it said he's got to keep it away from Jenner. If Jenner finds it, it'll be bad.
Nicodemus uses telekinesis and gets his staff, and they start walking out because now it's moving. They have to move. They got to get moving now
and get it moving. It's
why we take all this time to talk about?
If only government were this efficient everywhere.
And another thing is, all right, Nicodemus has been watching her struggle, knowing that Timothy is sick. Why didn't he just go and help her? Jonathan was such a good guy and helped them all out. They would have been dead if had not been for Jonathan. How about a repayment of, your son is sick? I'll send Mr. Ages over there and give you medicine right away. You know what? How about we help move your house for you immediately? Yeah, I'm getting a little bit too hard on this movie, but I just starting to see those glaring plot holes.
Well, yeah. So they start going through the canals underneath the ground that lead back out to
something
the mill.
like that.
She wants to get out to go see her kids, so they pull off to the side. She gets off. She looks like she's going to hesitate, starts running away, hesitates again, comes back and says, "You know what? I can give Dragon that sleepy juice."
Yeah, we need you to do it.
Mr. Ages failed when he attempted,
and that's why he broke his leg. Yeah. That's right. Justin and Mrs. Mrs. Brisby.
Yes,
these names. Yeah, she takes off her cloak. Now she gets seen by humans. She not wearing clothing, so she's naked now and needs to put the poison or knockout juice powder into Dragon's food. And she tries, but it gets captured by their kid that we never saw before.
Yeah.
And now there's a kid that captures them and says, "I'm going to keep you as a pet," and puts her in a bird cage high up. And what does Justin do? I'll go get her later.
Come back for you later.
I'll come back for you later. Whatever. He has lots of different mice he's been working on, so like he'll get back to this one.
I did like though that you better take off that cape; it might get caught on something. I'm like, it comes back.
It does
comes back around. Pixar remembered.
Yep. We skipped over Jeremy the crow because it's a nothing scene.
Nothing scene just establishes that the amulet is his precious, and he wants to steal it from her because it's.
Oh, I meant that he was supposed to be guarding the kids, but they tie. Auntie sure ties him up, and then
his scenes.
That's it.
Again,
it's just
don't matter.
It's trying to be comical, but that scene did not work at all.
Really, that scene only accomplished was tell me that Auntie Shrew was racist because she talked. Described how the rats were in the most demeaning ways possible.
I'm remembering now, yeah. You're right.
That's really all I got out of that scene.
Oh, she's such a mean person.
So, in the meantime, while Mrs. Brisby's in her birdcage, the rats have just decided to move the house on their own and not tell anyone. So Auntie Shrew and all the kids are like, "Oh my God, what's going on? The whole house is shaking." You see Jenner going, "Oh yes, when it comes close, cut the rope." And then his buddy's like, "Oh, I don't know about that. That doesn't seem right." He starts to get, morals sink into him.
Yep.
And then we cut back and forth between that and Mrs. Brisby and her trying to escape. And that's when she cuts herself, and that's the first blood of the movie.
Yeah, and I thought that was a pretty interesting decision, but it was effective. It's danger, and it's happening pretty fast as it cuts back and forth.
We haven't had anything in the movie yet outright show that anything could die until that moment.
So, now it's, stepping up even more.
Stakes are now higher for all the creatures because the lead character just bled.
Yep. And so now she's panicking more and hits the water dish and is going through that to get on the other side of the cage. And then cuts back to
them with their pulleys and
pulley
ropes.
System. It's high up above, and Jenner is waiting to cut the ropes to make it fall on Nicodemus, basically.
Oh, as it hovers over him, they cut him. His buddy chickens out, so then I think he just pushes him out of the way at this point.
And then Jenner cuts the rest of it, and then it falls down kind of on Nicodemus.
You see him fall.
Yeah, you don't see it directly. He falls backwards, but then everything, the pulleys and everything else fall on top of him. And he didn't use his telekinesis there.
No,
he didn't use his X-rat powers that he got.
We'll cut back to Miss Brisby, who has yarn or something that she gets down from.
There was a sock or something in the cage that she unraveled to use as a bungee jump.
Gets down, falls into Dragon. Dragon opens an eye. It looks ugly, and but he's too tired.
Yep, he had his smog eye.
And then she runs away, grabs her amulet, grabs her cape, heads back to the rats to warn them, because when she was in the cage, she overheard the next phone call from Nim saying that, hey, can we come and exterminate these rats for you? And
they're in the rose bush. You're gonna bulldoze the whole thing down.
Yeah.
Farmer is just, sure, whatever, okay. I don't like rat. Okay, that makes sense.
And so when she gets back to the place where her house is, everything's a shambles. They found out that Nicodemus is dead. Jenner's giving a speech about how they all need to go back to the rose bush and just hunker down and think about things for a while, basically to push his plot forward of just staying and living off of the humans until, I guess, they murder them in their sleep.
Basically, yeah. I guess that would be his ultimate plan.
Miss Brisby says, you have to leave tonight because
they're coming to bulldoze.
Humans are going to come and they're going to kill you in the morning.
Yeah, I just listened to this. This is new information I just found out.
And then Jenner pulls the ye old women are frantic and crazy. You can't trust a woman because she's hysterical.
And then I think he just starts smacking her on, but then
he
throws
her down.
Yeah,
and that's what pulls a sword out on her. I think too.
Then Justin to the rescue.
Yep, and then Justin comes in to save his mouse
future special lady friend.
And then they start having their sword fight, which was referenced in the trailer.
Good sword fight. I like
that whole animation sequence is pretty well
really
done.
Good animation. And it's dangerous because they're getting cut, sliced a little bit here and there, a little bit of blood. And
because Justin bleeds. Yep. The buddy to Jenner gets stabbed by Jenner because he tossed the sword.
He tossed the sword to Justin. Yeah, that's right. So
then Jenner stabs him for that, and he's obviously dying.
He's dying, yep. There's cliffs that are up all over around, and then Jenner's going to do the final blow on Justin, but then the guy who got stabbed, Jenner's, I guess, cohort, Benedict, throws a dagger into his back, killing Jenner. Really, really good stuff there.
Yeah, and then everything is quiet because everyone's like, holy crap, that just happened. What the hell was that?
Yep.
That was
all
insane.
The other rats were watching this going on. And Nicodemus is died. This is going on. Who do we believe?
And everyone's just scared and not knowing what the hell just happened. And Miss Brisby is, oh, good, my kids are safe. I can hear them through the cinder block wall.
They're fine.
And then it starts sinking into the mud.
Sinking into the mud.
Then you start getting this frantic scene of the rats trying to save it and the kids inside trying to not drown, and it's this panicky...
It's very good panicky. They're trying to put rope around it to pull it up with the pulley, but it's breaking, but it's going down really fast.
They go under.
Yep.
They sink.
Mrs. Brisby is trying...
fully under the mud.
Completely under. She goes in, and Justin...
She goes down with it.
But Justin had a rope around and grabbed her and saved her life and pulled her out. Like, at least he did that.
Yeah. Her amulet is off now.
Yes.
And it's purposely seen front of frame, sink by itself. I would say Miss Brisby has a breakdown moment.
Very effective breakdown of terror.
Yeah.
Of her children are dying or
Not
or
only
dead.
did her husband die a few days ago, but now all her children just died.
Yep.
Magic!
It's very cool. She picks up the amulet. It starts to burn her hands, but she doesn't care. She knows that she can use the power of this amulet to basically levitate the brick back out of the mud and save her children, which she does in this really awesomely animated, glowing red and yellow light awesomeness.
She's obviously outside her own body during this supernatural-esque kind of moment. The rays shooting out of her back. For all the things happening to the rats, that's just the icing of the cake of we need to get the hell out of here and go to Thorn Valley like we talked about.
Yeah, all these different things that happened to them. I mean, Nicodemus never did anything awesome like this, I assume. But kids are safe.
And then what looks like to be... oh, it's summertime now. Nope, it's just tomorrow.
Yep, it's the next day.
They're all outside. You see Timmy's already better. He's out of bed and complaining that he can't go outside.
Joe, magic. Wait, no, why you sighing? I'm the one who should be sighing. This is your childhood movie. You should love this thing.
I do. This is just one day. Why does it look like there's been like 2 months gone by?
And that's what it felt like. Because right now we see Mrs. Brigsby is getting her hands bandaged up because they were burnt from the amulet.
Yep.
Really,
Jeremy flies in with string that she asked him to go get for her.
I don't know.
And
a female equivalent
crashes into them, and they're exactly the same thing. And then
cheesy
they have giggle
ending.
fits, and then they fly off.
Oh yeah, they're holding the string,
and it kind of
makes the heart-ish.
Yeah. And it has another song that I really don't care for.
Yeah, the other music that's throughout the movie is very good, but it's the singing.
Songs with the singing, yeah.
That did not. I guess I can't say it didn't hold up, but that style from the early 80s, 70s and 80s.
Yes. It doesn't play anymore.
No,
and
not
I'm
anymore.
sure modern music in animation today,
sure,
when they sing it, is not going to hold up 20 years from now either.
It all depends, but these at least didn't.
To be honest, I skipped the first song. I know that nothing happens during this sequence, and I just wanted to save a few minutes.
You did it probably as a kid, so you probably did it again. I thought what was nice, though, is that they show the storyboards at the end, because that art,
oh my
that
God.
art is gorgeous.
I didn't want to stop watching it, but I was like, okay, I have things I need to do.
I watched all of it.
Holy crap, these are really good frames of drawing.
I love that. So I guess that's the secret of NIMH. Joe, does it still hold up for you?
I think the problem with the movie is the introduction of magic.
That's my problem. I think
the magic is the worst part of the movie. It's never explained.
Not at all.
And no one talks about it.
Not at all.
And there's no reason for it.
There is a reason for it. It's because Don Bluth wanted magic in his movie. I had to look this up, and he said, I wanted the ending to be exciting. I didn't want just the rats to have pulleys to pull them out of the mud. I wanted a magical element to it.
I would want the story.
Yes, and
in the long run.
That's what I'm questioning. Is this a kid's movie, an adult movie? Because there's adult themes of not just of being with your family and heart, but also of what is technically right. As in, okay, so the knowing your place in the world. So the rats get more intelligent. They no longer want to steal. They're morally obligated to be better than humans or be better than what they were.
Yes.
That's very deep. I don't think as a kid, did you get any of that?
No.
So that's what I mean, though, is if this is an adult movie and you're interested in magic, just because you want to have magic, I don't know.
From a child perspective.
Sure.
I get it. It adds that magic, that something that's fantastical, that you can draw these crazy things that look cool.
I have nothing wrong with magic, but they, like you said, they don't explain it. That's a trope of Don Bluth that I'm starting to see in his stuff now as an adult. It's a cheap way of writing. For me, I did not like this movie because the story bothered me that much because of the introduction of magic. It didn't hit the theme that it wanted to for an adult hard enough. Besides the animation, everything's gorgeous and pretty, and I love the characters are great. The main characters are amazing, and having a female lead was awesome. That was really good to have, and her struggling from family, being a widow, and all these other crazy things happening to her was great. But I definitely will not watch this again.
I will be watching this
again.
Okay,
good.
Because my attachment doesn't care about the magic elements.
Good. I was worried that me tearing this movie would affect you. I'm glad it didn't.
No, not in the least. Yeah, I watched it again, and the whole fact of the story, like you said, has a female lead and doesn't fall prey to any tropes of female storytelling.
No.
She doesn't obsessively talk about men.
Not at all. And there's just a little bit of hint. I mean, there's never between the Justin and her, but it's never acted upon, and it's not inappropriate.
No.
At all. You just notice it, and you exaggerate to make fun of it. And the only bit of it was that bit of Jenner, the female hysteria, don't listen to her. But that was about it, really. And even then...
I think grief shaming falls into that category, too. Along with the females are hysterical. And then the original story combined with the magic element that they added for whatever spectacle reason, it basically made the whole story about Miss Brisby finding her courage.
Yes, and I liked that.
She was a meek mouse at the beginning.
And I really liked that. I guess I understand the magic because that's her soul, that's her heart coming out.
And now she has the courage that can combat rats, and she's just a mouse. Hell, she was combating people and cats.
Yeah?
I mean...
Would you think kids would like this now, or is it too scary now?
I think adults would believe that it's too scary for them, but I don't think it's too scary.
I don't think so either. I think it's a good story for kids to see.
I think it's actually a rather subversive way to introduce death and
Yes.
grief and what it's like after someone who is family to you passes away.
I would agree.
It shows that the kids are staying strong afterwards, and
They were.
the mother obviously is staying strong after this, and there's a support network for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Deep.
Well, that's why I kind of say it's kind of a hybrid, because they touch on
If you only
deep
get
topics.
Just get rid of that magic or explain it better, and you have a really, really good movie, I'd say.
I do love this movie.
Okay.
Even
That's
as an
good.
adult, I love this movie.
Like I said, I'm glad I didn't. This didn't ruin it for you.
No,
Okay,
it
good.
did not. So, that was The Secret of NiMH. If you want to get a hold of us, you can email the Rewinders Podcast at gmail.com. You can like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter at RewindersPod. You can also find this podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Stitcher. Please rate and review us.
So you want to know what I learned from this movie?
What did you learn?
If you have any questions, a wizard did it. Why did that happen? A wizard did it.
And I learned that you don't screw around with mouse and rats. They'll mess you up with their little tiny swords.
Awesome. Well, thanks for listening to The Rewinders.
And find your safety in the lee of the stove.